Hey guys, what's cracking? It's Ralph here and I'm freshly back from FRMEFEST and like, what is FRMEFEST? Should I go? Is it worth it and all the rest of it? Well, first of all, you get this funky lanyard. So if you're into lanyards, then you probably should go. FRMEFEST is a annual gathering of creatives and content creators to come together, to learn from each other, to sneeze. Such a good start to the video. Oh no, it's not even happening. My apologies. Man, didn't even happen. It's a national or international gathering of creatives in Australia, in Sydney. They took 2 years to put this thing on, and we went to the inaugural one. That means the first. And whilst we were there, it was 2 days, so we flew into Sydney. We stayed halfway between Carriageworks, which is where it is in Redfern, and Circular Quay in Sydney, which is where the Opera House is and the bridge is. We stayed right in the middle so we could access both, which we did. Public transport was a dream, and I believe it's just like $1 each a trick. So far, I just scan with my phone and my credit card, and it works perfect. So it's just super easy for anyone that's visiting the city, and feels like it's super cheap. And maybe when I check my credit card at the end of this month, it'll just be a smacking buck. Oh yeah, that wasn't so cheap. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Please excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold still, which I got just before going to FRMEFEST. I was like, yay, it's so good. So I snot and cough and it's just disgusting. Anyway, let's move on. I'm going to tell you all about it, and then I'm going to tell you about how we did our experience, and you might be able to learn from that, especially if you're going. So let's talk about FRMEFEST itself. They spent 2 years putting this on, and you get a tote bag with awesome giveaways, and I love giveaways. Like, not this hat, like Sony Cat Rode beanie. So good, I didn't take a beanie with the hope that I'd get one, and I got one. Cool lanyards. Oh, and some socks, some Nikon socks that I tried to give to a Canon friend. Not so good. And a bunch of other cool stuff that just happened. So there was tons and tons of stuff to do. There was so many lenses you could go around, and so I went round to Nikon and I said, can I borrow this 800? They had this 800mm lens. I've never shot with an 800mm lens. It's 6,000 Australian dollars. I'm probably never going to buy it. It was a f6.5 and it was fast and fast. So that was like sweet to play with. We also asked, I said, can I play with a macro lens? They had 50mm and 105mm. I'd never even knew there was a 50mm. So they said the 50mm you have to get up much closer, and the 105. I said, great, can you stick it on, can you give it to me? And I'm going to go over to where the wildlife is, because they had this wildlife station where they got like snakes and lizards and an owl, like legit, this green tree frog, and they had them there and you could take the photo. So I'm like, can I borrow? And they're like, you're not allowed to leave. And so I took my 24-70 2.8 off and I said, can I swap then? You just hold this as collateral and I'll take the lens, and when I come back we can swap back. And they went like, we don't do it like that. I said, can we do it like that? And they're like, sure. And so that's what I did. So then I took my lens over and I took some bangers. Oh, I was stoked with these shots because the wildlife was right there. You could get up super close and personal with that. And that's what I loved about the conference. They had 3 Porsches there that you could get so close to and really engage with. You couldn't drive them around, but you could really immerse yourself in car photography. They had a number of models that were just chilling out at different places that were there so you could go and take their photo, and so you could direct them and so on and so forth. They had a boxing ring. Boxing ring set up where you could actually jump in and belt someone. Yeah, no, that wouldn't have gone down well. Would have been pretty funny and a shorter experience, but no. But you could get your camera out, or you could borrow lenses, or you could borrow camera gear and actually practice filming. And then they had a number of workshops. In fact, they had lots of workshops. They call them activations, which is pretty cool, because I guess it's activating that skill and that gift in you. And so you go to these different activations, and one of them was like flash photography for boxing, which I found fascinating. And they talked about this drawing out the shutter, and I was like, oh, I hadn't thought about that before, and really cool. And then we went to another guy who's like, no, if you do it the opposite way, so you don't draw out the shutter, you take the shot, and then you draw out the shutter, you have this effect. I'm like, oh, learning so much. And that's what it was about. It was just about learning more and more and gaining more and more skills and just fine-tuning. And there was a whole networking component that I've talked about in a previous reel over on Instagram. You can go check that out if you like, so I won't say much more about that. But it was one of the challenges. I think it wasn't easy. Creatives, my hunch is that creatives are naturally introverted. That doesn't mean like shy. It just means I prefer to stay to myself because that's where I get my energy from, rather than mixing with a lot of people. I think the majority of creatives become creative because they spend a lot of time inside themselves. That's what causes the creativity to come out. I used to be super extroverted, and then a couple of years ago, I reckon I was right in the middle, and now I reckon I'm more toward the introverted stage. It's been a weird progression, and there's reasons for that, which I won't go into today. So the lack of extrovertedness in general creators, I think, diminished the ability to connect with people. We did meet a few people. It was awesome. I met Hayden Peterson, who I've watched his channel for a long, long time, and that was epic. He's just deleted his original channel of 1 million followers because of his attachment to it and what it was doing in his life. And so it's admirable what he's doing, and I love the faith journey he's on. And so if you want to hit up Hayden and watch some of his stuff, it's really clever and good how he's enabled the realness of his story to come out. Anyway, I'm digressing a little bit, but it was fun. We met North Borders. Well, we nearly met North Borders, a car photographer, legend, top bloke. I went to a couple of his sessions and just really like what he has to say. He's just down to earth. He's an Aussie bloke, and he's just making his way in this world, and just, what's that? There's a phrase, I can't think of it. But anyway, he's not going to watch this anyway, are you, Mike? But if you did, Mike, love your work. If you know Mike, you can pass it on. Oh boy, it's one of those videos, isn't it? They had amazing competitions where you could literally win cameras. I think it had this ball grass thing, and I think I won a camera, and it dropped it just before it. It's like, but you could get tons of freebies, tons of competitions. Some were for the mega creative, and there's some incredibly creative and skilled people there with 3D animation, that sort of stuff that was just nuts. It was off the chain. That would be. But one of my challenges, I think, was a lot of the competitions were for specialized people that were brilliant in that field, as opposed to your normal pleb like me who just likes to have a crack at everything. And I think it was just a limitation in that space. But that's okay. And it was interesting. Many of the sessions were really excellent. They were really wonderful and exciting. And a few of them were the clickbait version. You know, on YouTube that you see a video, it has a title and you're like, yes, that will answer all my questions, basically to life or to the algorithm or whatever it is. And you watch the whole video and you're left with this picture of someone did something brilliant and unique in a certain set of circumstances and then reverse engineered and then marketed that reverse engineering to you. There was a couple of sessions like that was it was a bit of a waste. But you could have the freedom to just leave a session and go to the other. You could join in a session late. You could miss all the sessions. There was no rules. I was actually pondering, I thought maybe I could film every session and put it on YouTube before FRMEFEST do, just as a bit because it'd be funny. I couldn't be bothered in the end. But as you'd imagine, the videography there was brilliant. The lighting was brilliant. I reckon the microphone could have been up a little bit, and the people on stage on the main stage could have been a little bit more illuminated, because the back, they had this amazing LED screen at the back that was so bright. And I had a bit of a car accident a while ago, and so a bit of a neck injury, which causes bright lights to kind of annoy and mess with my head a bit. So I was straining a bit throughout. But that's my issue. It shouldn't change the whole conference because of that. But a little bit of feedback. If the crew from FRMEFEST are watching, which they may or may not be, but they've asked for our feedback, and I'll put some of that in it. But it was really, really positive. Some of the presenters they had this guy who was a journalistic photographer, a documentarist photographer, who went to Iraq and Afghanistan and war zones. He worked with the Syrians and Al Qaeda and crazy stuff like that. And he was brilliant to listen to. There was another guy who went to he has a YouTube channel which is just goofy mucking about stuff and a bit of camera and stuff review. His name's Samuel, but he does all of that so that he can go and basically go to the Bangladesh and help out the kids that are poor there. And I'm like, oh, it's so cool. What I like to do here is just to help others get into photography. So a ton of the stuff I review, I just give away and I pass on to others. At the moment, I've been trying to sell some of my old gear. That's not working. So people like free stuff. You know that fable that says the lens, you get a lens and it's a good lens if you look after it, has a high resale value. Well, it does. The problem is no one wants to buy it on the other side. Yeah, especially when you move from F-mount to Z-mount, so from DSLR to mirrorless, a little bit of a challenge there. So if you're in Australia and you like some of my stuff, just find me on Marketplace. Yeah, but shameless, Ralph, this is awful. So a couple of ideas that I think would make FRMEFEST better. I think if you had a panel, a round table, you had a YouTube content creator who had less than 100 followers and then less than 1,000, less than 10,000, less than 100,000, and then you had 3 or 4 people that had just crushed it, and you have the conversation across. I think that would just be really effective, dynamic, and really allow people to find themselves as a creator wherever they're at in that space. A big theme that came through with many of the sessions was the mental health. So social media and the demand of content creation is having a kind of a massive effect on people's mental health, and I reckon a couple of sessions on that would be really good for people, because they get sucked into this wormhole of I need to just make another video, but it needs more likes, it needs to be more effective, it needs to do all this, and as a result, I've just sold something on Marketplace. Thanks for watching. Anyway, continuing on. The mental health demand on creators that's of their own making can be just catastrophic. So to equip people that are brilliant in their creativity but can handle their mental health, that would be really helpful. I would love to see my boy Shane Mostyn there. He is a mobile photographer and brilliant, and I would love to see him. In fact, if you haven't subscribed to Shane, go over there now. He's like 4,000 subs short of 100,000. He's been hanging out in that space for ages, and go give him some love. I would love you to just tip him over the line if you are able to. His content's brilliant, but he would be so helpful and really wonderful at bringing mobile photography in that space to life and really help people get into that. I was also thinking it'd be great for, you could run event photography workshop throughout the entire conference and use the conference to train people in event photography. And so you could sign up for this thing and you could meet a little bit beforehand and get briefed and get some training, and then go out and film and like video and photograph the actual conference, and you'd have a portfolio, and FRMEFEST would have a portfolio, and you'd have learning, and you have a couple of pros in that mix just to help you out. I thought, man, that'd be an epic win. I think there needs to be more food trucks. There were two or three main food trucks and then like a dessert one. It'd be good to have like 5 or 6. There was also a big festival on in Sydney called the Bastille Day or something. Shout out to the French. I think that's correct and polite to do that. Sorry if it's not. I didn't want to offend anyone. Anyway, so it'd be good to have some more food trucks there. Sometimes the lines were huge. We got a free donut. That was amazing. Really delicious. Mucha donut, I think it was. I should get that name right, shouldn't I? But it was really, really good. And a free sticker with it. And it'd be good to have more snack options as well. The days they flew. They went really quick. But sometimes you're like, I just need a snack to time me over. I'm pretty hungry. So that would have been handy as well. They had a number of coffee options and a free coffee option, I think. It wasn't really clear if Lumix were doing a free coffee or not. But there's a lot of people queuing up. But any free coffee option would be great if possible. And I reckon, like, in terms of these activations or little workshops that go on, I think one around van life would have been cool, because it's kind of this trend that's taken off. Not for me, like, I'm happy with my life, but van life, I thought that would be really helpful. Another one about documentary making and what makes that really important. It could be an area they could push into. They had some food photography stuff and some product photography stuff, which was really good. A lot of models, some podcast stuff, audio, video. So they did so well. And like, you get cool stuff. So I really enjoyed it. And if you're pondering, do I go or not, then I would encourage you to go. We actually got early bird tickets when it came out. We were really excited. It was a long time between getting early bird tickets and finding out, like even the, I think it was, the times of the sessions and when they're on, to know when we could fly down. There was a little bit of a gap there. And the other thing, I was like, and I always struggle with this. So you had early bird and then you had normal. And then when it got to like a month before or 3 weeks before, they had like super cheap rates. And so it was kind of like a slap in the face to early birders. So I feel like you need to make your early birder cheap and then never offer a ticket that's cheaper than that. Because you had this bring a friend for free day, and you're like, I said to Pete, who I went with, Visioning Australia, if you're looking for a good YouTube channel that take you around Australia, I said to Pete, like, just feels a little bit off that they wouldn't just go like, have that stuff at the start. And I get they're just trying to have people there. It felt like there were 400 or so people there. In the email they sent back, they said it was wonderful to spend a weekend with 1,800 creatives. I don't know how that number was calculated. Didn't feel like there were that many people there, but the venue was excellent. It was easy to get to, and it was huge. Now, I thought about this last point just for a little while longer, and I made sure I got it right, because there's a ton of things it says to bring, and I think if you boil it all down, there's only a couple of things you absolutely need to bring. And that is, first of all, you need your computer, because all of the competitions require an edited photo. So you could take your laptop or your computer, but I think that's really important. I think you also need a hoodie or something warm, because it's a little bit chilly down there. You also need your photography gear, because you can actually try lenses and take photos, and it's very interactive there. So whatever gear you have, whatever setup you have, whether it's video or photography, bring that. And finally, and this is the most important thing that I think, if you don't bring it with you, you should find it when you're there, and that is a friend. And so someone to come and experience it with you, and you can bounce back and forth off, and you can really explore and challenge each other and dig into and analyze and evaluate everything that's going on. I think it just adds to that learning experience. And so I went down with Peter Tong, who is just started up a brand new YouTube channel called Visioning Australia, which I'd encourage you to pop over and have a look at. We've been photography mates for years now, and it's been so good to go and really engage and enjoy in that space together. So thanks, Pete. And also for all of you, if you've watched this far, find somebody to go along with, or see if you can hook up with somebody beforehand that you can connect with and hang out while you're there. It will really enrich your experience, but also not limit it, because you can still do what you like when you like and the different things you like, but you can come back and kind of combine your learning afterwards. Oh, any questions? I'll give it a crack answering them. Thanks, FRMEFEST. If you ever watch this, we really appreciate what you've been able to do for us. And it was just a really great event. I gained a lot from it, and keen to go back next year. Hopefully it is next year. I imagine it'll be in Sydney, because I imagine the crew that put it on are from Sydney. So shout outs to you guys. Thanks heaps for watching, everybody. Like and subscribe. And if you'd like a free Seascape tutorial sheet, please get one down below in the links there. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, see that? That was like bye, and the light died. In the next one. Bye. Perfect timing. What a shenanigan video, hey? Like, oh boy, oh boy. Thank you for watching this far. If you did, yeah.